Daddy ball is when you take your kid and you make him the focus of everything you do. And you're only coaching your son and you're not coaching anybody else.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
And I'm looking at the high school coach's thing, and he water breaks, walkout, like everything is perfectly scheduled. I did that this year, and I had enough assistant coaches where I could put all that stuff in play and not overwhelm myself. It worked out perfectly. We got the most out of every single practice.
Yeah, what I did is I get up to the 8th grade now, and I don't see my kid for 3 years, and he gets to me, mature. He's had other coaches, not that bad. Didn't have to correct a lot of things. And now he was ready for my, how I do my I'm a defensive coach, but I coach the running backs and the wide receivers, but my thing's defense. And it just was so much better. And I was so glad that he asked me to do that, and I did it. And then I got to coach them when they were bigger, and they're ready to go to high school now. They're ready to go, and we had a lot of success. We had a lot of success, and they learned a lot, and they go to high school, and that's the best reward. When a kid comes back to you, like I have kids come back to me and say, thank you so much. You were the best coach I ever had, or you made me a better high school player. Like you're always available to me.
So I had one of the greatest feelings of my life is when one of the kids you coached said, I never had as much fun playing football as I did when I was with you. I was playing semi-pro football back then. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember.
When I was coaching the little kids in North Arlington, I was playing semi-pro football, and I always left my equipment in the car. And if the kids weren't hitting in practice, I'd go out, get my shoulder pads, put them on, put a helmet on, and they'd come through, and I wouldn't hit them hard, but you think you're that good? You come and block me. You come and block.
Lay them out.
Hit me.
Yeah.
The parents after practice were saying, that was fantastic. I mean, that was great. Because we made it fun. You made it fun. It's a sport. And like you said, you want to win, but it's all about learning at that point.
Yeah. And it's about, he said a great thing. Mike just said an awesome thing. We play sports to have fun, if you really take the percentage of how many elite players you're going to have that are going to make it to the next level,
the percentage is so small.
Which college is college, okay? Make it to that next level for everything, D3, D2, D1, D Power 5, all right? That percentages are super low all across the board. So listen, have fun. And if you'll pick your kids out that have that want to do it, and you'll see them, and you still coach them all the same, but you can work with that kid. You can give him more to handle.
But I've seen coaches so the whole reason that I got into coaching, I was an offensive line guy from the time I was 7 until I was 22, and I know in junior league football, you take the kid who's slow, who's that's it. You put when you don't know where to put a kid,
your heavy guys,
you put it
up there.
So my job, here's how I saw it. I didn't learn the value of the offensive line until I got into later years in high school and college. And then I realized that that's the most important position on the field, because without you guys, you don't get a playoff. So I had to instill that into somebody who was getting cast aside. And that's the only reason, because I never wanted to coach my kids because of my bad experience. So I want you to tell me, why did you get into coaching? Was it just for the love, or did you want to give your kids some extra instruction, some stuff you had up here?
I was watching flag football, and I don't just look at my kid. I don't, my wife will say to me when she's watching our daughter, she goes, I'm not paying attention to the rest of the team. I'm watching her.
You watch the whole picture.
I watch everything. And I was watching flag football, and I was like, I wouldn't do it like that, because you know what? When I was an adult, because just to reverse a little bit, Mike gave a story about someone who said something to him when he was younger. And I had an athletic director at Queen of Peace. He passed away. He was a really good guy.
Eddie
Abramitis. And he said to me, I was like, I don't know, I was 20-something. I was playing touch football and flag football and softball everywhere, reliving the stuff that I was a playground jock, And Steve Nash was in Tormelinos or something with Abro. I was like 25, 26 years old. Like I'm walking in. Steve goes, hey, Bobby's a great athlete. He goes, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And Abramitis when I was little, like he was this big muscle head. Now I'm this big guy.
We used to call him Eddie Arms.
Yeah.
He had arms like this.
He says to me, Yeah, he was a really good athlete. A really good athlete. The biggest underachiever I've ever met in my life.
Ooh.
That's
You know
a
what?
tough one.
I didn't even phase. I didn't say nothing. I just nodded my head and said, "You're right, coach." And then he hugged me and he goes, "I tried." He goes, "I tried." He goes, you weren't having it. He goes, "When you transferred to North Arlington, they called Rip Collins, said, you got a 3-sport guy here. Make him stay back. He's immature. Make him stay back. He's young. Make him stay back and play 2 years with you guys." My stepfather wasn't going for it, but that's all me. You know, you got to own that shit. You know, I was content to go to Jefferson Playground and I can play basketball and stickball and play touch football and, you know, organized sports were that important to me. I played them, but it wasn't the thing for me.
He was a playground all-star.
Big time. Legend.
At what point you're watching flag football and then...
Okay, I'm watching flag. I got off track there. So I'm watching flag and I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this. So I asked Joe Witt if I could get involved. And he said, yeah, get your fingerprints done. And I started doing stuff a little different for everybody. And listen, I already knew my son was a good athlete. He was young. So I knew he was good. I knew he was going to be good. I didn't have to worry about, I'm worried about how good he's going to be or what's he going to do. I just knew the athletic part would take care of itself. I wanted him to learn the right ways. I have a lot of friends. He's one of them that really know football. And I've always been the coach that uses his resources. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I really use my resources. I have very close friends that are awesome coaches on the high school level. I got this guy. He comes to all my games. I'm not afraid. I'm the coach that raises his hand and goes, I got a question. Because I don't have the ego. I just want to do the best I can for the kids.
Vince Lombardi didn't know everything.
Yeah.
You always got to look out, reach out for some help somewhere.
But what I do, I outwork everybody. I outwork everybody. I'm talking 8 hours a day in front of the computer. This is 8th grade football. My wife's like, you're still in the same spot you were when I left this morning. I said, I got up and I had some coffee. I went to the gym. I came back. You're watching film. This is 8th grade. I said, I got preparations, everything, babe.
Hard work beats talent, but especially when talent doesn't work hard.
Exactly.
And that's why I got involved. And then it transpired into me becoming an 8th grade coach sooner than most guys because they go up with their kids the whole way. I learned a lot from them. I went to a shitload of coaching clinics. I mean, everything, online clinics, everything. You name it. Some fucking coach from West Virginia that's coaching Group 2 down there. I'm watching him, and he has a great idea about something. So I just absorbed all that, and I call guys all the time.
So kudos to you for stepping up, because being a coach for as long as you have the sideline coaches, they have a lot to say, but they never want to get involved. And there's plenty of places in the organization for them to get involved. Plenty of places. And it's not always on the field, but they'll sit there and they'll criticize you. And what
those are the people in the stands.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Those are the people in the stands.
They don't want to come down and do it.
And that's why I don't sit in the stands and watch most of the games.
I did this once where I took my parent giving me a bunch of shit because his kid was eating turf. I took my whistle off and I said, if you think you can do it, here. I'll give up my salary to you.
I've been there.
I'll give up my salary to you.
Mine was more like,
no, I don't want to do it.
How about you take your fat ass out of the stands and come down here? The turf will handle you. Come over here and you show my line how to block. Okay.
Kev, you were a little bit more diplomatic than Bobby was.
I can tell you a quick story about this sums me up the way I coach. Playing in the the quarterfinals this year, first round of the playoffs. We're playing Lyndhurst down in Secaucus. Well, separate field, away field. Everybody every year, one field gets the quarters and the semis. Very good team, Lyndhurst. We battled during the season. They beat us in the last second, and we were playing fantastic. We were 3-0. We were like looking to go 4-0. We had them. We were killing them, and they came back and won. Last second throw. Okay. Get to the playoffs. We know we got them in the first round. We're losing 13-8 at halftime. I look. Now he's always on the sidelines. He's always there. He's lurking around. You know what I mean? It's like you'll see him move and shit like that. I'm like, stop fucking moving. Distracted me. So I looked at him and I said, I got to make some kind of adjustment there. He's getting outside. They had a really good running back. He says to me, crash your ends. So I look at him. He goes, they're not running a sweep. He goes, they're running power. And then he's bouncing it outside because the guard's pulling and getting on your linebacker. Your end's containing. He goes, and then he's off to the fucking races. Your safety can't get there.
And that kid was fast too.
Yeah. So I said, bingo, thank you. And like, I made my adjustments. Crashed my end. Line. Now, what the end crashes, what happens is the lead blocker or the back, they ran deep back. Like, remember how Adrian Peterson used to be like 8 yards off the ball?
Deep.
So they would just toss the ball to him, and he wouldn't go outside. They run power toss, and they run power, just regular power pro set, right? So he would be going 6-hole.
By the way, you've lost our audience.
I'm sorry. Anyway, he's going to run the ball into the line, and then once he gets through the line, he's going to bounce it outside. He's off to the races. This kid's a good athlete. So what we did, we crash our end. So he crashes across that tight end or across that tackle's face into the backfield. And what he does is he takes on the pulling guard, or he runs right into the back, which causes a log jam and makes now the kid's in the backfield. He has to go outside. He can't get through the line. Now he's one-on-one with my linebacker and one of my tackles or my middle linebacker. And Mike gave me that idea. They didn't gain a yard the rest of the freaking half, and we ended up scoring twice and winning. Yeah. And that was because I listened to Mike. I might have did something completely different. It may have worked, but I always am open to whoever, like, if I trust you. If it's some guy that's standing out in front of 7-Eleven smoking a Marlboro.
Like I said, constructive criticism or ideas from someone who knows.
Listen,
you don't listen to the parents in the stand saying, put my kid in there. My kid could do better than that.
It was like he was there, and it was almost like it was meant to be. Like he said something to me, and then after the game, everyone was saying, Bob, what an awesome, like telling me how great the defense was. Defense was playing pretty good in the first half. They let up 2 decently long touchdowns, but other than that, we had some nice stops. I said, right there, Mike. And Mike said, no. He goes, you had the whole body of it. I just gave you an idea.
Well, sometimes that perspective from somebody who is not intimately involved, you get really intimately involved, and you don't see the holes that you're missing.
Like I said before, sometimes 6 eyes are better than 2.
Yeah. So, did you ever get accused of daddy ball?
No. I'm sure I have behind my back.
Behind your back, yeah.
But you've witnessed it.
I've witnessed daddy ball lots of times, and I've confronted it in my own organization. As the vice president for like over 10 years and now the president, I have went to coaches and said, no, this is not going to work. I've never done it.
Well, explain to everybody what daddy ball is.
Daddy ball is when you take your kid and you make him the focus of everything you do. And you're only coaching your son, and you're not coaching anybody else. And it just can't happen. I've told guys that they have to leave because of it.
Now, is it when coaches do that? A lot of times, parents will coach to assure that their kids will play.
Yeah.
Listen, in my organization, in my program, and I can say this probably for every team in the Meadowlands Football League, which we're both very familiar with, the best 11 play, because most of these other places are all about just winning. You know what I mean? And that's not a bad thing. They still get the development part in there because they got good coaches and they work the kids hard. They want to win. They don't care what, Mary's saying and Jack, oh yeah, my son's this and that. No, he's not. I tell the parents right up. I say, why isn't he in the game? Because he'll get killed if I put him in the game. He's not ready. I say,
or he'll get someone else killed.
So we're going to go B games, and then I have B games. So I let them play B games the next day. Parents are so happy about it because they get to see their kids. And I tell them, it's a safety issue. You do realize that football's the most violent sport. That and hockey.
Actually, you know what? I heard and I use this to recruit players. So do you know how many kids last year died playing junior league football? And we're talking 8th grade and below?
No.
8. Do you know how many kids died playing baseball? 9.
Yeah, they got hit by pitches or something?
Yeah, usually taking a line drive down third, hitting the chest, something like that, or beamed in the head or something. Do you believe that more kids died playing baseball, yet no parent ever has a problem when their son or daughter wants to play baseball or softball?
I can tell you no one's ever died from playing pocket pool.
One of the best sports out there.
Yeah, man. Especially when you're bored.
You just bring it back, don't you? You just got to bring it down.
Moving right along.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bobby Crudele.
Yeah, right. But it's a life of sacrifice taking on the coaching position with your kids, because I would be there anyway. I would be at the field anyway because I'm invested in my kids' lives. I like watching it. But here's the sacrifice that I made. I have never watched my oldest play a complete football game. Like you. I try, you try to watch here and there, but I'm watching the field, or I'm watching the line. I'm watching 5 other guys or 6 other guys. So and that's what was
that's what film's for.
But that was what was so great about the 8th grade thing. And it kind of, my dreams got stomped on. I told the head coach, I said, I'm just excited to see a complete game of my son that I can watch. And he goes, yeah, don't get used to that idea. I go,
No, it doesn't happen. No.
I mean, you want, when you're coaching, you want to fixate on your son and watch how he's doing. But as a coach, you have to watch the big picture.
Correct.
You have to watch everything.
Somebody has to, because don't forget, now you have a coaching staff comprised of 4 or 5 other guys, and most of them have a kid on the field, right?
So
in my case, this last year, I had 1, 2, 3 coaches that had players on the field, all significant players, all very good players, not just role players, not just some kid we threw in on third down here and there to get some reps because he gave someone a blow. Significant good players, all going to be excellent players on the high school level. And listen, I coach differently. You know what I mean? Like I said, I really do. I'm proud of it. I go after it. I have a passion for it. I love it. I want to coach on a high school level so bad, but I just can't do it because of my job and everything else. But I know what they're doing. And if I say, what the fuck is Crop doing at over on the defensive line? What's he doing? Is he getting killed up there? I can't see. No one can tell me because everybody's looking. Now I'm not saying that happened. They were great coaches. They knew what their roles were, but that can happen. So we put somebody up top who has no affiliation to anybody. Watch the defensive line. Watch the offensive line. If I want to know what my left guard's doing, you better tell me what he's doing. What's he doing? Don't watch the ball, because even the referees watch the damn ball and they miss plays constantly. Look at him. What, you didn't see?
Well, those players, those coaches with significant players on the field, do you think that their kids are significant because they're so involved, or they got involved because their kids were significant?
Well, most of my guys got involved at a very young age, and one of them I actually recruited. He wasn't coaching, and he played at Queen of Peace, and he was a very good player. He was a linebacker, and I remember him playing. He's in his early 40s, but I remember I always was watching Queen of Peace because I went there, and I knew he was. And I said, "Hey, listen, you got a lot to offer." I said, he goes, I played, but it's very difficult for certain players to coach, because they have a hard time with the transition part. But he did well, and he's a good asset to our staff. He's not trying to break any world records. He does what he does. But all dads get caught watching their kids.
No, it's not watching their kids. It's that extra attention that you can give. And listen, on the ride home from football, you can't tell me that you're not saying, hey, you did this really good, or this needs work.
I never say anything to them.
See, we work on this stuff. Like, hey, maybe I can put you over here. That's the way my mind thinks, especially with the line. Maybe if I put you over here, I can bring you around on a pull if they're doing the sweep or something. And that's
they got to be ready for it. Right after a game, I realized unless we just won by 40, isn't a good time to talk about anything. You know what I mean? So it's more like a day later. My son, my youngest one, Dad, are you watching film? Yeah. Oh, I want to watch with you.
That's cool.
Break down the film. Break it down. Oh, look at this. It pays off. We're playing defense, and we're playing against Rutherford, and he's telling me they're going to run. He comes over to the sidelines real quick. He goes, they're going to run X37Z. I said, that's our play. He goes, they stole it. Yeah. So he went up and he made the play. And I was like, dude, he saw it. He saw the formation. But he's a quarterback, so quarterbacks should know defensive formations and offensive formations. So.
See, I never coached my son in junior football. I coached him in baseball. But I was a volunteer coach at my son's high school, and I'd critique him, like we were saying, constructive criticism. I'd say, maybe you should do it like this. Maybe you should. You never jump down the kid's throat and say, why the fuck did you do it like that?
Well, what's the hardest sport to coach your kid in? Football for you seems very easy, because you have that passion for the game. And I'm sure it's the same thing for you, Mike. Like my youngest plays soccer. I know I can't coach soccer. I know nothing about soccer.
Well, my daughter's first year playing soccer, the coach said, if any of your parents want to coach, we lost one of our coaches. My shy little daughter goes, my daddy will coach.
Oh,
that was a soccer coach. I knew nothing about soccer.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I
knew nothing about soccer.
Player, but I don't. Basketball was the hardest sport to coach both of them in. They're very good players.
What age?
Just all the way up. Like it just.
I think once you hit the 5th, 6th grade, basketball becomes very, very challenging. Below that's pretty simple.
It's easy then down there. But like when we got older, for me, it was teaching them defensive philosophy, just playing basketball defense. And I sound like a broken record. Everything's defense for me. Well, you can't. It just promotes so much more when you're a good defense player. Now, my big guy was such a good athlete, and I was like, "You play defense terribly. Like it's just you're terrible. You're lazy. You get lazy steals, and then you're faster than everybody. Fast break." I said, "You got to get your arms up." Like he never wanted to listen to me about it, you know. And it's reflected in high school coaches. He played varsity as a freshman and sophomore before he stopped, and now he's just focusing on football. He's like, he was a starter, and they would say, if he was just a little more effort on defense. It was almost like he was saving himself for offense. I said, "Why? Your outside shot sucks." But just
but
you know,
some
we're
of that
gonna have
is,
these conversations.
some of
I'm
that
not
is-
your coach anymore.
some of that is passion, both you and your son. Your son obviously has more of a passion for football than he does basketball. You obviously have more of a passion for
when
football.
I was playing, I had more passion for basketball because I just played it really well. It was easy for me to play,
Right.
you know, but like he loves football. And he wants to play on the next level. So now it's a really good relationship. It's like, listen, this is what you need to do, but I'm not the one that's going to get football in college is a fucking job, my man.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of fun.
Kidding.
There's meetings, there's this, there's that.
It's the greatest thing ever.
It is, but I'm just telling him, listen, time to get a little more mature. I'm not saying you can't go down the shore with your friends, have fun, do your thing. But when it's time to work, it's time to work, you know, or else, you know.
I think one of the hardest things to coach your kid in is baseball.
See, baseball is one of those things where I love football, but I have a passion for baseball. I always did.
Well, they say the hardest thing in all of sports is to hit a baseball.
Hit a major league baseball.
Your kid strikes out. What are you going to say? It was a terrible swing.
No.
I used to tell my son all the time, Derek Jeter struck out. You know, everybody strikes out. You're going to strike out, but a kid strikes out and he's got like tears coming down his face. It's fucking baseball.
Yeah.
You got to put it behind you and let's go on.
It's very tough. That's all sports, though. If you have a kid that's very emotional about things like that and carries things, what they always used to say to us, you make an error in the outfit, don't take it to the plate.
Exactly.
And if you strike out, don't take it to the field.
Yeah.
Short-term memory loss. You better have it. I fucked up more than anybody. I need to be like, you know, all right.
I'm starting to see that with my oldest. He's very, very hard on himself. So I actually have to go talk to him in between. Like, say he strikes out. And in between, I have to, okay, you have 20 seconds to feel bad about this, but you got to get over it because you got to go out in the field.